So, time for gigs by Christmas. Can I ask into the chat, please? After that call, how are we feeling for December? Are we in the mood to go and chase some gigs? Are you still not in the mood to go and get them? What's the vibe? Are we ready to try and make some happen? Let me know into the chat. Give me some confirmation. Are we ready for some gigs, or are we checking out? Are we going for it in 2025, but December is our off month? What's the vibe? Summarize it for me, please. Are you all in for the last month? Are you in it to win it? Are you ready to go? Readier than ever. Okay, Ian's all in. If you're out, if you don't have time, if December isn't the month, I want you to say it to yourself now. Don't promise yourself to be 100% ready and then not do it. Okay? I'll do anything it takes. I love it. I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that. Be good to get something in the new year, but okay. Love it. Okay, gig swaps. We've got some gig swaps happening in the chat. I've got the ball rolling now, so super motivated. Okay. Let's make some of this happen. So, I am going to hop into the iPad. Let's run us through this. Okay, there we are. I'm having a bit of a tech issue here. There we go. There we go. There we go. We're back. Okay, so look, I'm speaking to a lot of DJs about bookings this year, and I am hearing a bit of the stuff where it's like, I only want to play this gig or that gig. I only want to play a certain type of gig. I'm not really into playing empty gigs or free gigs. Or now, I don't think you should play empty gigs or free gigs either. But what I mean is, it's a mindset thing where they only want to play the really good gigs. And I would only love to play all of you to only play the good gigs as well. For the rest of my life, I would love to only eat good meals. I would only love to have really enjoyable workouts. I would love to have the best relationships. But unfortunately, I'm going to have some shit meals to get to the good ones. I'm going to have some horrible workouts in between. It's just the nature of existing. And so, what's more important is to get into momentum. If you have low gigs or no gigs, you've got to understand that anybody that we speak to that considers booking you, they're going to look at you. And if they're the first person to book you, they might not. So you want to get in as much action as possible and leverage that, okay? So we need to get you into momentum. And that may mean that the early gigs aren't your best. The early gigs aren't the huge ones. They can still be enjoyable. We can still make them fun. We can still play music to people that want to hear it. But we've got to accept that we just need to get into momentum, okay? And we're going to talk about how to do that in a minute. But let's hold that mindset steady, okay? Next up, once we get into momentum, because you can get into momentum and get some gigs happening. You can run some of your own gigs. You can make them happen, okay? But here's the thing. Momentum can die. It can eat itself. We've all been there where we start to get a little bit of the thing we wanted, and for some reason it's a little bit off. And quite often I see it with gigs. People, they'll get a series of gigs and they've done all they can do to get them. They've promised the earth. They're doing them for free, or they're traveling to the other side of the world and playing them for free. Or they're putting in loads of effort and investing in their own night and not getting money back. And the enthusiasm dies. The ambition dies. The love dies. And it's because you're not feeding the momentum. The way to feed the momentum, I'm sorry to say, is cash. If you're getting paid while for your efforts, you're being rewarded for your efforts, the momentum feeds itself. It feels like it's sustainable. It starts to feel like something that you could actually do long term. We, like it or not, we live in a world where we exchange money for everything. And subconsciously, we assign a value to everything monetarily. And if we're always working for free, or we're always losing money every time we do something, subconsciously, we give it a low value. We tell ourselves it's not working. We know it's not sustainable. There's anxiety around it. we don't feel like we're successful. We could play a load of gigs and not get paid for any of them and have them cost us loads of money. And people might say, hey, you're doing really well. And in your head, you feel like an imposter. Let me know into the chat. Has anybody experienced that? Give me a me if you've experienced what I've just said. And so I want you to make sure if we're getting momentum, we're also getting paid, okay? Because then the momentum can continue. Otherwise, you can continue momentum without getting paid, but it's more sustainable when we get paid, okay? And then I want to take this momentum and leverage it so that we can get the big stuff in 2025. But you're not getting any of the big stuff with an empty tour roster. You're not getting any of the big stuff with no action. Because if I'm a big promoter or if I have something hot going on, I don't need to book somebody that has no activity. I've got the world at my feet. I have a multitude of DJs that I could book, all of them whom are busy and are doing great things. So if you have nothing going on, you're at the bottom of the queue. And so we need to get some stuff going on, and then we need to cash it in. Here's the beautiful thing. We don't need the stuff to be happening yet. We can put it all on the calendar for 2025 and leverage that immediately into gigs now, okay? So let's hop in and look at what that looks like if we are going to make that happen. Okay. I love seeing the swaps happening in the comments here. So I actually did DJ. I don't DJ anymore. But when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, I DJ'd 6 nights a week. Monday was my only night off. And some nights, the DJ wouldn't show up on a Monday and I would get called in. So I would work 7 nights a week. And I showed up to Dublin, which was the capital city, I knew nobody. I had no friends. I knew no promoters. And within about 6 months, I was booked every single night, playing really, really good clubs. And this is like, well, I'm 40 now, so this is like 18 years ago, getting paid 350, 400, 450, 500 a night. Ireland was in a boom time back then, but like that was good money. And you're doing it 6 or 7 times a night. There's a specific way that I did it. And the very first way that I did it was I booked myself. Now, it was a shit gig. It was across the road from my college. There was a bar, a student bar across the road. And I went over. They had a DJ booth. There was nobody in it. There was no one DJing. And so I said, who's the DJ? And they said, no, nobody. I said, can I DJ? And they said, yeah, but like we don't really have a budget for it. I said, let me DJ on a Wednesday night. Give me 50 quid. And they said, okay, cool. You need to do it for 5 hours though. So I got paid 50. I got paid 50 quid every Wednesday to DJ for 5 hours to nobody, literally nobody. I got posters done up. I called it Wasted. The worst club night ever. A luminous green posters called Wasted. But I had my own night. Nobody showed up. Nobody was there. But I was there every week. I was DJing. I was learning the craft. There were some people there. But I had my own night. I had my own residency. You can use that as leverage. Now, I don't want you to do that, but it's how I started. Then, when I was able to go to talent bookers or the managers in other venues around the city, I was able to say to them, hey, I have a night that I play every Wednesday, but I'm looking to add to that. Can we speak about it? And having face-to-face conversations with these guys, literally just touching base, they took me seriously because I had my own night. They weren't there. They didn't know it was empty. But I was able to leverage that to book myself out over the months. You know, you get one residency and that goes well. So you get another one and another one. And I want to build out a similar thing for you, but I don't want you to play to nobody for 50 quid. But I want you to understand the concept of it's easier to get something if you have something. People don't need to know how good that something is, but you need to have a foot on the ladder to get there. It's kind of like the create something from nothing thing we discussed. I have those nights to pay my DJ habit. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so first off, I want you to book yourself. We could do this. Let me know in your city, into the chat. In your city, could you find a venue that is 100 capacity, 50 capacity, 150 capacity, 200, a small venue? like a really small venue. Are there any in your city? Let me know into the chat, please, while I try and unlock this iPad. Yes, did one on Friday. It was perfect. Okay. So this is what I want. You could do this week. Like if I was DJing and I wanted to get on the ladder, this is exactly what I would do. Okay, so you're going to book yourself. Now, the first thing is I want you to find the smallest venue. If it's 50 capacity, perfect. Yeah, smallest capacity. Excuse my writing. If it's the smallest capacity, it means we can fill it quickly. It means the vibe will be good every single time. I don't need a 200, 300, 400 person venue. I just need a venue that I run an event in once a month and I can fill it and get a vibe going. And the smaller, the better at the start. You can get a bigger venue if you start to fill it out, but I want you to get the smallest capacity. I'm going to run through the steps really quickly, and then I want to kind of go dive a little bit deeper. We're going to get a really small capacity venue. We're going to recruit other local acts to go on the lineup. We are going to run a talent search each month to allow DJs apply to play because they become your marketing campaign. We're then going to use that to gig swap to get gigs elsewhere and have DJs come to play for you. And then we're going to run a massive guest list. We're going to fuck off the ticket sales completely, and we're going to run a massive guest list to make sure that the thing is full every single time, the vibe is good, the content is good, and your night is a success, okay? So with that in mind, I want you to find a venue that has the smallest capacity, and I want you to do a deal with it, okay? I want you to try and book, like, if you can book a monthly, let's say the end of January, we're in December now. If you could book for payday weekend in January, payday weekend in February, payday weekend in March, or if not I'm picking the best weekend possible, just any date at the end of January, February, March. Now you've got a monthly residency. Do a deal with the venue and say, look, we want to try it for 3 months, or we want to try it for 6 months, but I would get them locked in. Get the dates on the calendar. If you do this, do it under your brand. You've immediately got gigs on the calendar. Now you can figure out how to fill them later, but now we've got leverage, okay? I want you to try and do a deal with the venue where you're not paying them anything. You're going to tell them, we're going to put a marketing campaign behind it. We're bringing local acts to get behind it. We're going to bring in a headliner. That's your gig swap person. And we're going to run a massive guest list. So we're not even going to sell the tickets. And so we're making no money. You get to keep the bar, but we don't want to pay you for the venue fee. So now you've essentially got a free venue. You will be able to find venues that will take a chance with you and do this. Nightclubs are having a hard time. If they find somebody that's motivated, that's going to get behind it, really, venues just want full dance floors. They like to take the door if they can, but if you're telling them you're going to run a free guest list and try and pack it out, they'll take a packed venue full of drinkers all day long. Okay? So straight away, if we do this, you could do this week. You could find the venue, you could put the pitch in, you could lock it in, and you would have 3 gigs on the calendar for Q1. I still haven't paid for a venue after doing gigs on 2 continents. Never pay for a venue. Yes, Kirill. They're open to the deals. They want the bar. Okay? If you do it for 6 months, you've got 6 gigs. I would be trying to lock it in for as much as possible. Say, hey, we'll do 1 a month for the first 6 months. If you're hating it in month 1 or 2, you can back out. Now you've got 3 gigs on the calendar. Okay? I want you to recruit other local acts. Okay? I don't want you to do this on your own. So in your city, I want you to find who are the other hungry artists. DJs want to DJ. If you reach out and tell them you've got it booked in, you want to support local acts, you're going to do some content around it, get them on board. You can agree a small fee with them. Like I would agree a small fee, like 50 quid, 100 quid. Tell them you're going to pay them. DJs love that. But They've got to get behind it. They've got to promote it. They've got to bring some friends. Okay? Now, you've got marketing partners. You've got a bit of a crew. There's a bit of a vibe now. Okay? Step 3, everybody should do this. If you ever have a gig, you should always do this. We did this. I've done this with Claptone. I've done it with High. Elbro do it every year. Talent search. One slot on the lineup that DJs can apply to play. All they have to do is post a mix on SoundCloud, post your artwork, and link to the mix. And you have all the DJs in the area posting your artwork. So you turn them into a little mini marketing campaign. You can do that or not do that, but it really helps, okay? Number 4, now you've got your gigs locked in. You've got 6 dates on the calendar. I want you to gig swap. We've done the gig swap training, so I'm not going to go too deep into it here, but you can reach out straight away to gigs that you want to play in cities or countries around you. Reach out and say, hey, we've got these gigs happening. We've got local people supporting it. You put together a nice pitch. Maybe there's some people in the group that would swap with you. But what I would do is I would look at the cities that you want to play. I would find some cool nights that are run by DJs like yourself, and I would swap with those guys, like we said in the gig swap training. Now, if you've done it right, if you do your pitch right, you're going to block in 6 gig swaps because you'll be able to find 6 promoters in other cities that would love to come and play for you. And now you've got 6 more gigs. Now, you're going to have to get active. You're going to have to get in your Instagram DMs to do this. But literally, if you find the venue, that's 6 gigs, 3 to 6 gigs. And then if you sit down and do your gig swap, that's 6 more gigs. So we've got 12 gigs straight away that we can put in the calendar. That's momentum. We haven't paid anything. We've just secured the dates with the venue and secured the gig swaps with the people that are interested. What you want to do is maybe get like a one-pager explaining what the vibe is for the night and what you're going to do around it to attract the gig swaps. We talked about that in the gig swap training. Really, you want to just build it up. You want to do some content around it while they're in the city, interview them, put it on socials, all of that kind of stuff. Do a mix series, all of that good stuff. And so straight away, you've got some momentum. Let me know into the chat who would be up for doing this, because you can make this happen in. If I wanted to go and make this happen, I could do it in 48 hours. There's venues with open dates on their calendar that will happily slot you in. There's so many hungry DJs all over the world that are running their own events that would happily gig swap with you. Rosita's in the process of doing it right now. I am up for it. Yes, this will work. Trust me. Now, that's the book yourself side, okay? We've got training on that in the portal. Search for book yourself. Search for running your own sold out gigs. Search for the gig swap training if you need more context. But that works, okay? Now, next up, if my computer wants to catch up, the Counter Club. Wasn't sure where to take my events. Yeah, Jack, you've already got this rolling. This is perfect. Next up is the Counter Club. You know, we talked a couple of weeks ago about the alternative events. Like there's the coffee shop series that's going viral on Instagram. We talked about like doing a YouTube series in a laundromat, or there was somebody that did one in a kiosk, or the world is your oyster. If you went on that training, it's in the you are doing that also in the arcade. I love it. I'm calling this Counter Club. I think it's a good name for it. Really, I think of it as a YouTube series more than anything. So, the best way to think about this is if we can get the venue kind of drives everything. So, let's say you pick a laundromat or I can't even remember the word for them in Europe anymore. A laundromat? What? Yeah, let's just call it a laundromat. Okay, if you do a laundromat, well then, that's going to be the gimmick. You're going to do it once a month, and it's going to be a laundromat series on YouTube. You're going to have the decks in the laundromat. you're going to have it's going to visually look, uh, pretty standout. I haven't seen one of those before, but it could be a coffee shop, it could be a brewery, it'll all depend what you've got to hand. It needs to be something interesting, something unusual, something nobody's done before, and you want to get it onto YouTube. Okay, that's the gimmick. And then we want to pick the format, and I'm suggesting everybody do YouTube. This is easy because you can go to any any unique spot, like we discussed. Like Rosita went into the arcade last week. You could go to a coffee shop or a laundromat or a skating place or a video shop or a tattoo parlor and say, hey, once a month we want to come in, film for 4 hours for a YouTube series. Some places will let you have a crowd if it's a coffee shop or eats everything to a chipper. You can have the public in. Some places like a tattoo parlor won't want you to have the public in, but all it needs to do is have a theme, have a gimmick, look visually appealing on YouTube, okay? There's a Star Wars bar. How cool would a Star Wars bar be? Like, that ties into your brand. And you could do it once a month. It's good marketing for them. They'll happily take the content. They'll share it on their socials. Now you got somewhere to do your YouTube sessions, okay? Now, let's say you say, okay, we want to put some effort into it. Can we book a filming session January, February, March? Okay? So you've got one of your Counter Club series in, Jan, Feb, March. You can put that on your tour dates. It's not technically a tour, but you can put it on your tour dates. That's a performance. It's going out on YouTube. We want to build momentum, and anything that can go in there should go in there. Okay? So I would do this monthly. Now, here's the deal. If you're going to do this, this is going to be great content. It's going to be great for getting bookings because you're going to do a YouTube set every single month. It's going to be great for networking because you have cheese to offer other people. But I would run it, if you're going to do it, as a pre-party. So let's say you are doing the event that we discussed above. Let's say it's on the last Friday of the month and you're going to do the thing in the laundromat or the tattoo shop. I would do that on the last Friday of the month as well. Bear in mind, people don't need to be at a pre-party. You'll look at the Ibiza clubs here. They always do the live streams down at Mambo. Some people, yes, come and dance down at Mambo, but a lot of people watch the live stream or they'll see the stories. It's just a way of creating hype online in the stories, in the feeds, the day of the event. Plus, if you're going to do a gig swap, it's a great way to entice better gig swaps because you can say to them, hey, we're going to do the gig swap, you'll do the event, but also we do this series that we have kicking off on YouTube. You can come and do that as well. We'll give you the content. We'll do an interview around it. That's great for them. And so the gig swaps are going to work even better. These create a buzz around the event. They create a buzz around you. They're great promo content. When we're pitching bookers and they look at you and they want, what, Lisa, do you want to unmute there? I lost you. How do you mean? You're muted.
There we go. Okay. You lost me at like, I'm not sure what you mean. After you're going to do monthly, run as pre-party. What does that mean? I'm not sure what you mean.
So let's say you're going to do this event, the one we talked about a minute ago. You're going to book a small club and you're going to run your own event.
Okay.
Well, if you were to do the Star Wars party, let's say your event above is on Friday. I don't know if Friday the 30th is an actual date, but let's say your club event is Friday the 30th.
Okay.
Well, what we want to do is if we're going to do them both, you don't have to do them both, but if you're going to do them both, I would also do the Star Wars YouTube live stream. I would do that on the 30th as well. Because if you've got an event that night you want to tie it in, right? You want to have as much activity online that day.
I get it.
And
Thank you.
also, if you're using your club event to attract a gig swap, because maybe there's a promoter in Miami that you want to swap with, or New York, if you have the Star Wars thing that day, it becomes a way more attractive gig swap because you're saying to them, hey, come and play the gig, but before we go to dinner, we're going to do this thing in a Star Wars shop where we record a YouTube live stream, and we're going to give you that as content as well. So when they leave the city, they've got the set from your club, they've got the set that you recorded in the Star Wars place. You'll do a little interview with them, and it's in a really attractive prospect. So you're reaching out to really good clubs, and maybe they might not even be that interested in the club event, but they're like, the amount of content that's here, this is going to be really good. We'll come and do it. And so you're booking gigs that are, you're gig swapping with gigs that are way above your pay grade because people care about content these days just as much as the gig itself.
That's true. Got it. Thank you.
You're all good. You're all good. I need to set the lock to this to be much sooner. Okay, let me know. So far, I want to see where everybody else is at to see have I lost anyone yet. Let me know. What's been most useful so far? So, while you're typing that, if you do, let's say you do these counter club things, I would, if I was going to put the effort into pitching somewhere locally to do them, like these, you're going to get a quick answer out of these places, like a tattoo shop or a laundromat or a coffee shop or like none of these places are getting pitched all the time. You'll probably get a same day reply out of them. So you could literally this week have the response. Okay? And so I could have 6 gigs on my tour schedule for that. And it's under my brand. So let's say my brand was, if it was Underbooth, let's say, and I've got those booked in, and now I can say, right, well, I've got 6 Underbooth club events. I've got 6 Underbooth Counter Club YouTube series. I've got my 6 gig swaps, and I'm using them all together. I mean, all of this is achievable this week if you just put the pitch together and did it in this manner. Okay. Now, if we've got this on the calendar, let's say you did this week, and you've got some gigs booked in under your own brand. You've got some YouTube series booked in under your own brand that we're calling Counter Club events. You've got some gig swaps booked in as well. Now you've actually got some meat on the bone. You can put a pitch in and you can say, if you're chatting to a booker, you can let them know what you have on the calendar for 2025. And you've manufactured it all yourself, but it's all legit. It's all the good stuff. It's all playing your music under your brand and growing your own thing. So next, what we want to do is take that and start to leverage it. Entertainment managers are something that we haven't really touched on in Fully Booked. But in any city, if you go into the good, like you'll have the big clubs who'll have an in-house booker, and they'll book all the shows, or they'll agree deals with the promoters, and the promoters will book their shows. But in any city you go to, there'll be a plethora of other venues that are playing the music that you want to play, that are playing dance music of some sort, electronic music of some sort. There'll be, disco bars, music bars, sort of pre-game bars. They've got a DJ booth, but they're not like a big name club. Quite often, they don't have an in-house booker. It doesn't pay, if you're a venue, a bar that has like 20, 30 bar staff, it doesn't pay to have a full-time booker. So they'll have an entertainment manager. And in any city, like let's say in Dublin, there's 3 or 4 entertainment managers that have every venue in the city sewn up. And so a friend of mine, Al, he has like 30 venues, within kind of a couple of counties that he'll put DJs around. He'll have 30 DJs on the go any one night. Some of you may work for people like this already. But in any city you go to, there's a number of people that control most of the booths in the city, except for the big club ones. How do you find those? You literally just, like, if I was to go to, let's hop into ChatGTP really quickly, and give me let's say LA, for instance, because I know nothing about LA, so here's a good one. Can you name me 50 venues in LA that host DJs? I'll just go into ChatGPT and I'll let it give me all of them. Now, some of these are going to be big clubs, but quite often as you go down, there's a plethora of places that probably don't have in-house bookers. I think if I go up in this, I did this with Birmingham as well. Is this the one that I did with Birmingham? Because I just tested that ChatGPT was up to the skill. Yeah, okay. So Birmingham's a small little city. Can you give me a list of 50 bars that host DJs in the city? And here we go, loads of them. These places do not have in-house bookers, but they probably all will be paying for DJs. And so if I can speak to the entertainment managers and get in with them, I'm going to get some quick gigs. I have a lot of friends that do this, people that have worked for me before that have just gone on and gone on to do this. It's how I was DJing 6 nights a week. Speak to the people that have the gigs already. Is anybody here already doing this? Let me know into the chat. Is anybody already working with any of, like an entertainment manager that's a booking agent, but in reverse? So rather than being your booking agent, they're the booking agent for the venue, and they'll just feed you gigs. If not, I highly recommend picking up the phone. This is a phone strategy. Go on to, like I just did for ChatGPT for Birmingham. I found 50. Look at it, and it's your city. You'll know. I like that one. I like that one. I like that one. I just pick up the phone and say, hey, who is it that handles the entertainment? Who books the DJs in the venue? And they'll tell you. I would just pop them an email and let them know, hey, here's what we have going on. I've got these gigs booked for next year. We've got YouTube series booked for next year. Use the stuff that we've just talked about as momentum to sell them. So you seem serious. And they'll be like, okay, that all sounds good. Let's chat. And they'll always get you in for a trial. It's not one of those things where it's like, you know, it's going to be easy to get in for one night for a trial so they can get feedback. They're always looking for new DJs. I have a friend that runs one of these agencies in Dublin, and he's firing DJs every week because they're so unreliable. So they're always on the lookout for DJs. That is one good way to get gigs by Christmas. Those guys have them already stacked up. And if you can just get in with them, get them on the phone, well, they'll look after you. Okay, if we do what I've just said before, if we reach out to these venues and just book some dates to run some nights under our own brand, festival pre-parties is a huge one. Yeah, gee, pop me an email and I'll do you an intro. Festival pre-parties is a huge one. Since COVID, I don't see this so much anymore. But prior to COVID, a really good strategy was reach out to a festival that you want to play and say, hey, I know you're not happening in my city, but can we run a pre-party for your festival? And really what that's doing is, let's say their festival is in Croatia in June, but you have a club in Dublin in January. You're going to run a pre-party to promote their festival. So you're saying to them, we're doing an event on the 30th in January. Can we do it as an official pre-party for your festival? And you'll put that on the flyers, you'll shout about it. And really, from their eyes, it's a marketing activation within Dublin, let's say, or whatever city, and it's throwing eyes on it. Hideout did this really, really well. If I go, they're the one that I think of when I think of this. Like if I go Hideout, there we go, Hideout Festival Pre-Party. If you look through the search results, you'll see loads of, look, Hideout Festival Pre-Party. Hideout Festival Pre-Party. There's loads of them. They would do them in every city because they want everybody in every city talking about Hideout and possibly buying tickets. But the way the deal worked was you would throw a little pre-party for them in your city, but then they would book you to play Hideout. And hopefully you would bring some people with you. That's what they were hoping. But you got to play Hideout. The Blackwells here in the group, they ran a pre-party for Hideout, and then they got to go and play Hideout. And so if you're already running the events, you've already got them in the calendar, reach out to the big festivals that you want to play and say, hey, we want to run a pre-party for you in our city. Can we do that? Can we tie in and collab on it? You just book us to come and play. And then we're using the gigs that we've just put on the calendar to get us more gigs. Let me know into the chat who would do this one. This one works. There's loads of people in the program that have used this one. It's an easy one because festivals want marketing. You're offering them for free. All they got to do is give you a DJ set in return. They're all over this one, okay? You can make this happen before Christmas because this is an easy yes. If you book in the dates with the venue and you've got your nights planned, you're just reaching out to marketers and the festivals and saying, I've got some free marketing for you. Here's the offer. Easy yes. Now we got some more gigs on the calendar. Open decks. Ian, we know you run an open deck. I have Daz, Mr. Jones, he runs open decks as well. If you can find, like, let's say that list in Birmingham that I just run. There's 50, I asked it for 50 venues in Birmingham that host DJs or that, you know, that have regular DJ-led events. Quite often they're not going to be doing anything on a, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can host open decks. If you do it like, I think there's a missed opportunity for people to do it like genre specific. If you're a progressive house night, run a progressive house open deck as a talent search, looking for progressive house artists, or if you're tech house or whatever, and have it as like supporting the local community and themed. But now you've got extra dates on the calendar. These are like enjoyable. They're, you get to build a bit of a community around your event, but more to the point, they're gigs on the calendar. They're momentum. You don't have to do it forever. We just want momentum to leverage into bigger gigs. Okay? They have an hourly open deck in Raleigh. Yeah, I mean they're great. Next up is corporate bookings. I don't know how many people are going for these, but these pay great. And you can play the music that you want to play once you pitch it right. I did this earlier on just to check, was ChatGPT up to the task? And it was. So I searched for, I did Birmingham again because I didn't want to do Dublin because there's loads of corporate places in Dublin. But I just searched, I said, can you give me a list of 100 companies with staff of 50 or more based in Birmingham, right? And it just gives me, all of the local companies. They have Jaguar, they have Camry, they have Goodyear, but then you go down, they've got Zara, Lidl, Asda, IKEA. Now, some of these are going to be right. Some of them, not so much. But here's the thing. They'll all run corporate events throughout the year. Offices are full, more and more full with people that listen to dance music. It's the third biggest genre in the world. If I had a Zara in my city, I would be reaching out to that corporate office and saying, hey, can we do some pop-ups in the shop? We've seen DJs play shops all the time. If your music is right for it, or can we talk about doing a booking for one of your events next year? Like typically corporate bookings, they're not going to be the big gigs. They're not going to be the ones you shout about on social, but they'll pay a few grand, They pay really, really well. If you get a Christmas party in a Cadbury or a Zara or any of those in the city, it's thousands. And you get to play the music that you want to play. Now, this isn't going to build the momentum in your career, but it's going to put money in your account. I had a guy here in the program who's in Australia. He lost his job. It was a 6-figure income, and we had to sit down and figure out how he would replace it, staying in music. And we got him to do this. I got him to start reaching out to the corporates in Melbourne, and he's replaced his 6-figure income doing corporate bookings because they have the budgets. They run parties all year. Some corporates do like monthly staff parties, or they do events in the office, and they've got budget. They've got big budgets, and they've somebody assigned to make that happen. Wouldn't they want open format or more mainstream? No, not at all. Like you will in some cases, yes, but you've got to think offices are full of people that listen to dance music. As the workforce ages through, it's not a young person's music anymore. You'll have loads of, if you go to like a Zara, into a Zara Christmas party, you could play house music all night long. It all depends, it all depends on the venue and on the night. But I would certainly pitch it to them. There's loads of big name DJs playing corporate events. You know, all the guys that play here in Ibiza also do corporate stuff on the side. It's not on their socials, but they get paid big money for it. And so I would be all over that. And they can be quick to turn around. Here's the thing, right? If you did this in the next week or two, you booked some dates on the calendar for your own club event, which is a quick turnaround. Booked some counter club events, which is a quick yes. You've got these on the calendar. You can put them in a pitch. Now, if you hit your hit list, you know we did the training to turbo blast your hit list, send out 100 pitches to 100 people on your hit list. Now you've got something meaty. Hey, here's what we've got planned for 2025. We have a monthly event happening. We have a monthly YouTube series happening. And I'd like to bring it on tour. Could we discuss maybe doing something together? You've got cheese now. You don't have to have done the things in order to offer it out. You just have to have it locked in on the calendar. We can hit it to our hit list and start to book some of those. If you did all of these things, it's not going to take a lot. It's achievable for anyone, and it's going to give you gigs before Christmas, guaranteed. Let me know into the chat, what parts of this are you going to pull the trigger on? Really, you're taking this into your own hands because it all starts with you booking yourself and running your own monthly event. And I don't want you, like the event itself, I want to do a small venue and I want to get local people involved because and run a guest list so we can just fill it and have it good, have it look good on socials. That's the key. That's the initial leverage. We can get gig swaps from that. Now we're touring. We can leverage it and try and get gigs elsewhere. It's the seed to everything. Book yourself in the counter club. Okay. So for every one of these steps, if you want to go deeper or you're a little bit stuck on exactly how to do it, we already have trainings in the drive. So for book yourself, there's trainings. For the gig swaps, there's trainings. The counterculture stuff we did 2 weeks ago. But if you have any questions, everything but corporate bookings, they hurt my soul. Yes, that is actually why I gave up DJing, was because of that. But I put it in there because, hey, if you want to get paid, it's a good way of getting paid. How to get guests to come to parties, the guest list part. Derek, that would be like if you've got, let's say you've got a 4-hour club event. You're going to play 1 hour every night, but you're going to invite 3 local acts, right? And you're going to say, hey, I want you to come and play the January event. What am I doing here? I want you to come and play the January event. There we go. And I don't want you to sell tickets. I hate that selling tickets shit. I don't want you to sell tickets, but I do want you to fill your guest list. I'm giving you unlimited guest list. Bring as many people as you want, but just bring people down. We're going to record your set, so it's going to be important that, you know, it looks good on camera for you. Get them involved, like get them motivated. DJs want to play. If you're reaching out to local acts and you're telling them there's a gig there for you, I'm going to pay you. Don't pay them loads, 50 quid or 100 quid. You're not making any money back off the event itself, unless you get a bar split. Why not selling tickets? You can sell tickets. You absolutely should sell tickets. You can't do a guest list unless you're selling tickets. Then it's just a free gig. Free gigs have no allure. They have no, like, if you tell me there's a free gig happening, I'm like, you know. But if you tell me the tickets are 20 quid, but you can get me on the guest list, it's a different, it's the exact same thing, but it feels completely different. You know? People just love getting on the guest list. It's just one of those things. It makes it more. If somebody tells me that they're going down to a free gig, I'm like, okay, great. Nobody. It's back to that. We attribute value to the things that cost more. Makes sense. Do an early bird ticket sale and increase the price. You could do. You can absolutely do that. But here's the thing. If we're going to go down the ticket sale, what I would like you to do for the first 3 is just ram the fucking thing out. Put the tickets on sale, do an early bird, do an increased price, whatever. But I just want you to ram the thing out. If you've got a rammed event, people are going to want tickets to it later. But people fuck themselves up trying to sell tickets to the first one and the second one and worrying about that and then ending up with an empty venue. And nobody wants tickets to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th because it was dead. There's no hype around it. Ram the thing. Get 3 DJs down. Tell them to fill the guest list, reach out to people locally, and just fill it and get amazing videos. And then sell tickets to, you know, number 4, 5, and 6. Jeep, we'll see you soon. Have we got any questions on this, gang? Any questions about implementation? We're running over late here, so I don't want to keep anyone too late. I don't think we got any questions, do we? Love it. Here's the deal. You can just do this week. There's no reason to rock up to Christmas and have no gigs. This seems like a lot of work, but guess what? Everything's a lot of work. Bin men have a lot of work to do tomorrow, you know? We pick what it is that we're going to do, but we have to do it. Otherwise, we're not going to get results. And so there's bin men tomorrow going to wake up and spend 8 hours slinging rubbish into bins, you know? You could just spend half that time, 4 hours, just mailing local venues. Or, you know, mailing gig swaps. You don't need to spend 4 hours mailing local venues. You just need to find 3 and mail them. It'll take you 15 minutes. But you have to do it. I'm begging you. Just do it. Let's get some gigs by Christmas. Okay, next week we have 2025 preloaded. We do this every year where we want to look at your year and we want to decide how to make it a success. We want to decide what this year didn't work. Let's fuck that off. What do we need to replace? To get somewhere different, you're going to need to act different. You're going to need to do different things. You're going to need to leave some stuff behind. And so next week, we're going to plan that all out. We've got a hot seat the week after with Mr. Jones, where we look at how he sold out his Ibiza Weekender and managed to get 100 people to fly over for a 3-day festival in Ibiza. And then the week after that, we're going to do 2024 Wrap, where we build on the preloaded. I want you to end the year with a plan. And so when New Year's Eve happens, you've got a whole plan laid out. You know what's happening every week of every month, and it's good to go. Don't worry, Jack. I'll get the call straight up after. Mr. Jones is great. He'll be on the call on the 11th. Okay, guys. Can we just unmute and give each other some positive motivation, please, to go and get these fucking gigs?
Yeah.
Go get him,
Just do
yeah.
it. Do it.
All right.
Just go get the
Let's
gigs.
fucking go.
I think we have a duck on
Let's
the
go.
call tonight. I definitely heard a duck there. Yeah, I know what humans sound like. I love that. That was it. I feel some. Here's what I want to do. Right, go and do this. I want as you get results with it, please post in the group and let us know so we can shout you out. We can celebrate you. Go and get some results. All right, guys. I'll see you on next week's call. Let's preload 2025. Have a good week. See you later.
Cheers, everyone.
Adios.
Good week,
Thanks,
guys.
Mikey.
See ya.
Babes.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.